All right. It is May 27th, and we're going to talk a little bit about CNN 10. I would give this one an A. I was thoroughly enjoying this one as it played. So the first one, we're going to get into some conspiracy theories. So if you remember back in, 2019, I guess, COVID-19, December, not a lot of people in the United States were really worried about COVID. It wasn't until like 2020, right? March, was it 13th? I think it was a Friday the 13th. We really started worrying because school shut down. Well, since then, there have been a couple different theories on how COVID-19 started. One, and we've talked about it in this class, is that it originated from bats. There was a seafood market in Wuhan, China. A lot of exotic animals there. Cross-contamination. Somehow the virus, which started in bats, might have found an in-between animal, maybe a wild cat of some sort, and then it jumped somehow to humans. People aren't exactly sure, but that was the research that was being done, and that was the most common theory. And now, CNN 10 is actually going to start talking about another theory that was like a conspiracy theory, but is now becoming a little more mainstream. In Wuhan, China, there is also a lab, and I guess it specializes in infectious diseases. So go back to 2019 December, when that lab said, or when the virus was thought to have originated in that seafood market. It's not really a seafood market, but it's a market where animals are killed, not just seafood. So bats, bats, people. I couldn't do it. I couldn't eat a bat, but some people like it, I guess. And those wild cats and whatever. So, but in November of 2019, it's very possible some scientists in that lab got sick. So sick they had to be hospitalized. And since then, some of the people that work there have disappeared, or they've actually died from COVID-19. So the U.S. government, probably not alone in this, but the U.S. government wants answers. China says, "Oh yeah, we gave you the answers. Yeah, started in a wet mart. That's what they call it, a wet market, seafood market, whatever." And the U.S. government saying, "Nah, maybe not. Maybe it didn't." So China has lied in the past. They tried to cover up the virus. I don't know if you remember, you'll hear the term whistleblowers. A whistleblower is someone who gives information that probably should have been secret, but they give it out in order to try to save lives, or maybe they talk about how a government is doing the wrong thing, so they're endangering their life. So there were some whistleblowers. One doctor, he died. He was in his mid-30s. And he died of coronavirus. But before he died, he was like, this is not pneumonia. This is something that we've never seen before. And it got out to the rest of the world, and thankfully it did. So, but the Chinese government was trying to hide that from the very beginning. Yeah, I got the question right. And it actually helped me because I've been studying Italian for the last couple of years. So I encourage you, pick a foreign language and study it, maybe like Spanish or French, since those are offered here in Auburn. EL teaches it, Latin too. Latin's good, for other Latin's great. Like studying Latin will actually help you learn English better. It's a little bit crazy, but since so many of our words in English have come from Latin. The next one they're going to talk about is the blood moon. Hang on, it's not just the blood. It's the super flower blood moon that happened last night. The super flower blood moon. But if you remember last night, I don't know but it was like we had torrential rain. It was cloudy, thunder and lightning. So yeah, you couldn't see that super flower blood moon. But they're going to go into all of the science about the blood moon and how it is actually really rare. We only get a couple super moons a year, And the fact that this was a flower moon and then that it was a blood moon with the eclipse. Yeah, some pretty crazy stuff. And again, in Maine, we couldn't see it. The last part, I would like to do a screen share here. The last part is actually my favorite part. I don't know if you'll like it as much as I did, but it was pretty amazing. We're going to go to Rwanda, and it's like in the middle of the map there. Rwanda, where two species of primates live. That would be the golden monkeys and the mountain gorillas. And these species are extremely rare. But you will meet a few doctors who work there. I think it's like a dozen doctors who work with these big primates, taking care of them. And you'll see that they're wearing masks because 98% of the DNA we have can also be found in those gorillas and those monkeys. And it's very possible that if someone had COVID, they could give it to that species. We're not exactly sure if they would do better, worse, or about the same as humans, and they don't want to find out. So they're taking some precautions. Although there is one time where the man is wearing a mask, but then he turns to talk to the camera and he pulls the mask down. I mean, I think he's far enough away from it looked like a gorilla in the background, but still, put the mask on. If you're going to wear the mask, they are outside, and it's probably not too bad. But agriculture has been doing some damage to these gorillas and monkeys because, the world is becoming more populated with people. So therefore, we need more food. Therefore, the people of Rwanda need more land to make more food, to grow more food. And that is forcing the gorillas and the monkeys into smaller and smaller spaces. Another doctor is going to talk about the movie King Kong. When it came out in like 1935, after that movie, King Kong and gorilla and stuff, people wanted to hunt these animals just to say like, hey, we've killed King Kong. And it did some major damage to the population. So much so that in the 1980s, I think there were about like 250 left. And now, luckily, through the help of these doctors caring for them, performing surgeries, you'll see you'll see this big 500-pound gorilla just like stretched out on a maybe like a tarp or a blanket and having some kind of surgery done to him right in the forest, because you can't like pick this animal up and move him into a hospital or her up into a hospital because it's 500 pounds. It's a pretty heavy job, so they just do it right there. I think that's it about those. And then, oh yeah, I don't think this is my favorite because they don't spend enough time on it, but they will actually go back and revisit that panda that's living in the National Zoo in Washington, D.C. Cute little thing. But if you remember the host, what was her name? Jeannie Mose, I think. She described it as like a wiggly caterpillar, ugly thing. It was pretty ugly, but now I think it's about 9 months old and super cute. So if you like gorillas and pandas and super flower blood moons, and I don't think you would like COVID, but maybe you're interested in learning a little bit more about COVID, this might be a good CNN 10 for you. Like I said, I'd give it probably a solid A.